Today I wanted to talk about who Matthieu Blazy is and what he's actually doing to Chanel. Matthieu Blazy is a French-Belgian designer born in 1984 who worked under Raf Simons, Phoebe Philo, and was former creative director at Bottega Veneta. He's known for craftsmanship, material innovation, and quiet intelligence in his designs. He was an excellent choice for Chanel because he's not a hype designer. He's known as a taste designer and was appointed as creative director of Chanel in 2024. On March 9th, Blazy turned the runway into a luxury construction site. Giant primary colored cranes, metallic floors, almost industrial but still glossy and surreal. This wasn't random. The message was quite explicit. Chanel is under construction. Critics kept circling this idea that Blazy is signaling that the house isn't finished, it's evolving. It's a bold thing to say out loud at Chanel, which usually sells timeless perfection, not we're figuring it out. Blazy anchored the whole show in a Gabrielle Chanel quote, "We need dresses that crawl and dresses that fly." So the collection literally moved like a transformation. The start was grounded classic Chanel with blatnets and tweed suits. The middle, experimental daywear, bombers, dropped waists, weird proportions. The end was a fantasy embellishment, almost couture-like evening look. Blazy deconstructed Chanel's codes with a complete revamp of its bags, with elongated flat bags worn low and more relaxed, structured top handles practical for every day, with the overall message being less of a status bag, more of a real-life luxury bag. The shoes were real stars also, with high vamp heels, sharper and more intellectual, updated ballet flats and slingbacks, classic but slightly tweaked, and lots of textures, adding edge to everything. Shoes were the new hype category of this show. The real surprise being that Blazy made Chanel less about the bag and more about how a woman actually moves through her day. If you look at Blazy's work at Bottega Veneta in 2025, this Chanel collection actually makes a lot of sense. At Bottega Veneta, he built his identity on material innovations over logos, bags that felt lived in, not precious, shoes that became quiet cult hits, and silhouettes that moved with the body, not against it. It was always about tactility, ease, and real life. And at Chanel, he's doing the same thing, but inside a much stricter system, with the bags being less dominant and more functional, and the shoes suddenly the focus, a very Bottega move. The clothes are also softer and less rigid, and slightly undone. He's not rejecting Chanel, he's loosening it. If you go to the Chanel website, it's interesting to see that the bags feel more relaxed, but the prices are still very much Chanel. It's an incredibly in-between moment for the brand, because is one buying a practical bag or a $10,000 icon? Who can say? Chanel isn't just changing its aesthetic. It's changing what you're supposed to want. For decades, the dream was very clear. You came to Chanel for the bag. It was polished, iconic, and almost untouchable. And that was the point. But now everything feels a little more fluid. The bags are softer, more practical, less dominant. It's not just a visual shift, it's a shift in mindset. Chanel is no longer telling you to aspire to a finished idea of luxury. It's asking you to buy into something more evolving, more everyday, and more lived in. And that's interesting, but it also changes the relationship between the brand and the customer. Because the question is no longer, do you want the bag? It's, do you want this conversation with Chanel? And I think that's the real turning point. Chanel is changing what desire looks like. The question is, are we changing with it?